Hi everybody, and welcome to my new channel. You did what? My name is Joyce Carlin, but most people just call me Miss Joyce. You know, the other day some people came into my office to put their children in school, and there were two little girls and one little boy, and Mom was shepherding them in like moms tend to do during the day. And so we sat down and we started our conversation. Well, one of the little girls' names was Gracious, and the other child's name was Modest. And I bet you're wondering what the little boy's name was. It was Captain. And I thought, okay, I've heard this before, and if you're an educator like I have been for 49 years, I bet you've heard it before too. So Mom was giving me her name, and I was a little bit relieved because her name was Brenda. That is until I went to spell it on the paperwork, when she very clearly notified me that I did not leave out the two D's and the H in her name. Have you ever been through that before? You know, it reminds me of the 60s when we used to have people who had this emotional response to things, and they named their children things like Moonbeam and Starshine. And do you remember, what was it now? Solil Moon Fry. There's a good one for you. Well, those were the days when we thought that being unique and being different was really important. And I bet you think your child is unique. And I'm going to agree with you. Every child is unique and really special. So, of course, as a mom or a dad, you certainly want to make sure that they're known in the famous halls of all fame by some sort of a special name. But I would just like to caution you about that and have you be real thoughtful about how you name your child. Because one day they're going to be sitting on row 2 next to Lucas and Amanda in school, and people are going to have sort of an interesting response to your clever name. Probably they're going to be thinking something like, "You named your child what?" Interesting that we do that to our kids. Also, someday they're going to have to fill out an application for a job, or they're probably going to have to fill out an application, we hope, for college. And at that point in time, your kids will probably already have changed their name anyway. Somebody who was unlucky enough to have a mom who named them Gracious is probably going to shorten that to Grace, or even, that's kind of old-fashioned, so maybe just Cece. How do you like that, Mom? And what about Captain? Do you think Captain's going to go on in college and let everybody call him, "Hey, Captain, my Captain"? I don't think so. I think that kiddo's probably going to change his name to something you really don't like. I can't even imagine what that would be. So my caution for you is to just be real thoughtful about how you name your child. Be careful, and make sure that you're setting your child up for success. That's kind of a small issue, certainly not as big as some of the others we're going to talk about in the future, but it certainly is a pretty important thing. You're starting out with that name that will follow you the rest of your life. Think about that, Mom and Dad. Oh, you know what else I was thinking the other day? So I'm sure all of you know there's an election coming. Here we go again. I'm sure we have all kinds of news media and all kinds of choices out there. And I heard the other day some of these candidates talking about each other, and one of them had a really negative thing to say about one of the candidates. Said he was a very authoritarian person. And then, of course, there's a lot of talk about this election cycle about communism and socialism and all those things that kind of make us a little bit nervous as Americans who believe in freedom and liberty and, oh yeah, the good old Constitution. So I got to thinking, what about you, Mom and Dad? If someone were to give an explanation of who you are or how you parent, would you be considered to be an authoritarian parent, or a liberal parent, or someone who just doesn't even have a clue about how to handle situations that come up with your kids and how to raise healthy and happy and emotionally sound children? Maybe that's an important thing for the world to think about, but it's a very important thing for you to think about as the mom and the dad of these precious children. So I have a couple of suggestions for you, and that is, it's really important that you learn how to give your child choices. Now, don't be afraid. It's okay. They can choose and they can make good decisions as long as you, as a very wise parent, set up the parameters of the choices. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that no matter which choice your child makes, you're happy with the outcome. You know, I think if you give your children some power over their environment, they may in fact calm down a little bit on some of the behaviors that we see with children, like attention getting, or nagging, or whining, or learned helplessness, or even, I hope not, but even the desire to seek revenge. So what I'm suggesting to you is set up your child's life for success by giving them choices. Choices like, would you like to wear your red socks today or your yellow socks today? Would you like to wear a coat or a sweater? You can choose. Would you like to go to your friend's house to play, or would you like your friend to come to our house to play today? And also, when you when you're put into a situation like going to the store or going to grandma's house, you need to prepare your children to be successful in those situations. Of course, if you've raised your child from the time they're really tiny to understand that you respect them and they respect you, and you in fact are going to understand and care about how they feel about things, then this won't be as big of a problem. But I know you've seen it, because I've seen it in Walmart and other places out in the community, where a child is being disciplined in the middle of the aisle between the frozen food and the canned goods. And that is never a good place to set parameters for your child. So I'm suggesting that you give your child choices before you enter the store, maybe even before you get in the car, and also set up the consequences. Make sure that your child understands that there will be a consequence for not following the rules. So the rules might be, stay by me, don't ask for too many toys or too many goodies, wait till the end of the day and I will give you a treat of some kind. But also, Mom, Dad, be willing to be consistent. You must be consistent. If your child breaks the rules that you've already set up and discussed ad infinitum at home or in the car, you need to be willing to go ahead and follow through. If you say to your child, when you misbehave, you will be taken immediately to the car, then you have to be willing to take your child immediately to the car. Two things happen. Your child understands at that point that there are rules that they must follow in order to be successful and have a good day. But the second thing is really important. They learn that you could be trusted, that you are a person who is always going to keep your word and make sure your promises are true. You know, there's a really great book that I enjoy myself personally, and it says it this way: let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't be manipulated by your child. Don't get into the habit of deal making. Oh, this time we'll do it a different way because you want to, Susie or Bobby. No, no, no. You are the parent. You are the adult. And so I'm suggesting to you that you set up good, healthy choices for your child and then consistently follow through on all of those choices. But don't forget, make sure that no matter what choice your child makes, you're happy with the outcome. That's a big deal. That gives you power and control over the situation. Oh, and you know, have you ever had one of those days where it just seems like nobody's ever listening to you? Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. You say things over and over again. And I know, as a mom and a dad and as a school teacher, if any of you are in education, you understand that saying things 4, 5, 6 times is not just stressful for you, but it's certainly not a good way to work with kids. Just doesn't work out well. But today, in today's world, we have an extra problem. And I'm asking you to take a look at whether or not you're guilty of this particular infraction. And that is, are you too lazy to be a good mom or a good dad or even a good teacher? And that means, do you always have your cell phone in your hand? Are you not attending to your child's needs or your child's desires? Are you not listening to your child? If you're not, then you have a problem that reaches much further than what you think, it just simply not listening. reaches. And that is, your child is learning that you're not really interested in them as a person. You're not really interested in anything other than what's on your cell phone, who's sending you a text message. And they learn too, because unfortunately, what I'm seeing is lots and lots of families that give these phones and these tablets and headphones to children when they're really young. And they bring them to school, they bring them to the grocery store, they walk with them down the street. These kids have a really hard time connecting with anyone. You are isolating them, Dad. Mom, you're not doing a very good job of teaching your child to connect with human beings. And also, you're teaching them that they don't really matter very much. So I want to suggest to you today that you think about whether or not you're taking your emphasis off your child too much. You know, we all need a telephone in case we get a flat tire on the road, or in case the kids need to call home because they're, God forbid, throwing up at school. But I'm asking you to kind of monitor that, to make sure your children are okay without having some sort of technology at hand, and give them the opportunity to really get to know them. Listen to your child. In fact, try to listen more than you talk. Listen to them, look at them in the eyes, understand their feelings and their thoughts, appreciate that they want to share them with you, and reflect back with them the things that you really have valued and understand about your children. It's a very important thing for you to be doing. So anyway, if you are interested in continuing to learn some things and take some advice on some great ways to help solve your children's problems, I have a little booklet that's on Amazon. It's called You Did What with Your Child? And if you would like to check at Amazon Prime, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get that little ebook for free. That'll give you some more ideas, and it will also prepare you for the next few things that we're going to be talking about. Things like bullying and teasing, and really not understanding the kinds of things that make your child feel happy and healthy and emotionally stable. So I hope that our time spent together is going to be great. I'm really looking forward to spending time with you. And in the future, we'll be talking about all kinds of relationships, not just with your kids, but with your spouses and your friends and your neighbors and those people in the community. Maybe we'll even talk a little bit about the election, but you're probably tired of that. So anyway, see you soon, and I'm glad you're with me today.